Joe Rogan surprised everyone by sharing his insights about the space is fake theory,
Space is fake.
about whether the space is really fake or not. He also said that even if you don't believe in this conspiracy theory, you should still recognize that some people have valid doubts about it. Joe Rogan explained the evidence that changed his mind about this conspiracy.
Hashtag space is fake. Space is fake is something I'm investigating, legitimately looking deep into.
Space's real skeptics have been challenging the existence of space for a very long time. And finally, after groundbreaking research and a new discovery, new information about the 1969 moon landing has been leaked, and scientists have emerged, leaving no room for doubt or speculation about the reality of the space anymore. This is a mysterious story, filled with a lot of new information about space exploration, so let's explain everything. So, people who believe that space is fake do not think that there is nothing above us, but they believe in firmament dome theory, which posits that Earth is enveloped by a solid dome, an idea often rooted in literal interpretations of ancient scriptures. In contrast, the projection theory suggests our observable sky, including stars and planets, might be technological displays from an advanced entity. Also, people who think that space is fake believe that the sun and moon are not distant celestial bodies, but smaller, local objects that move differently than conventionally understood. And Joe Rogan, on several occasions, discussed this theory and had debates on his podcast about whether space is fake or not. With different guests like Michael Shermer, they discussed this theory and how much we don't know about space, about Apollo missions, and how all of this is very strange. But what are the arguments that space is fake? And why do people believe that space is fake? Well, some people say they see bubbles during spacewalks and think these walks are actually fake, done underwater instead of in space. They argue that astronauts practice in big pools to get ready for zero gravity in space, and what we see as spacewalks might just be this practice. It's true that NASA uses a big pool called the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, NBL, to train astronauts. This pool helps them feel like they're in space and practice important tasks for their missions. But training underwater is different from real spacewalks. Underwater, you still feel the water pushing against you, which doesn't happen in the empty space of space. So things and astronauts move differently underwater than they would in space. The bubbles that people talk about are usually small pieces of stuff or ice breaking off from the spaceship. In space, these pieces move in strange ways, which might look weird to us on Earth, but actually make sense in space. Also, pretending to do so many spacewalks underwater would be very hard and pointless. Many astronauts have gone on these walks over many years. It would be simpler to just do the walks in space than to keep faking them underwater and not have anyone tell the truth or show clear evidence of faking after all this time. The most famous theory against NASA is that they faked the Apollo moon landings. Some people think these landings were just pretend, mainly to show that America was better than the Soviet Union during the Cold War. At that time, with a lot of tension between countries and a race to space, going to the moon was seen as a big win, not just for science, but for showing off power. Critics think maybe the US pretended to land on the moon to make sure they looked like the winners. People who don't believe we landed on the moon often point to weird things in photos and videos. For instance, they question how the American flag waved on the moon, the shadows different things made, or why we can't see stars in the sky. But scientists have explained all these things. The flag waved because of how the astronauts moved it, and there's no air on the moon to stop it from moving. Shadows can look strange because of the moon's surface and how light falls. And the stars didn't show up in pictures because the moon is very bright, and the cameras weren't set to show them. But it's not just the moon landing. Some people doubt almost every big space mission. They think these could be tricks to fool everyone, get money, or for other hidden reasons. In addition, people who believe that space exploration, especially the Apollo moon landings, is a hoax often cite the Van Allen radiation belts as a key piece of evidence supporting their claims. The Van Allen belts are two layers of charged particles surrounding Earth, held in place by the planet's magnetic field. These belts contain high levels of radiation that, according to skeptics, would have been lethal to astronauts passing through them en route to the moon. Skeptics also argue that since the Apollo missions, no manned missions have gone beyond low Earth orbit, LEO, which is inside the Van Allen belts. They suggest this is because of the radiation threat. But NASA was well aware of the radiation in the Van Allen belts long before the Apollo missions. The trajectories used for the Apollo missions were designed to pass through the thinnest parts of the belts, minimizing the time astronauts spent inside them. Also, the primary reason for the lack of manned missions beyond LEO in recent decades is cost and shifting priorities, not radiation. Also, people who believe that space exploration is fake or that the Earth is flat often bring up concerns about space photography as one of their primary arguments against the mainstream understanding of space. With the advent of sophisticated image editing software like Photoshop, skeptics often argue that space photographs can be easily doctored or manipulated. Some point out what they perceive to be inconsistencies or anomalies in photos from space. For example, they might question why the stars aren't visible in some images of the Earth from space, or why the colors of certain planets seem to vary in different photos. Many of the criticisms center around the Apollo moon landing photos. For instance, questions about why the American flag appears to wave in a vacuum, or why shadows on the moon seem inconsistent. With that, some skeptics believe that satellite imagery of Earth, especially those showing the curvature of the Earth, are fabricated. They might ask why a supposed satellite image looks similar to a composite made up of aerial or balloon photos. But it's worth noting that space agencies and experts in the field of astronomy and astrophysics have addressed and debunked many of these concerns. Space photography is a complex field with its own set of challenges, and what might appear as inconsistencies or anomalies to the layperson often have well-understood explanations in the scientific community. Still, in a digital age where images can be easily manipulated, it's natural for some people to be skeptical. And that's it for today. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell.